We'll call this Almont Board of Education work session to order on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Please rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Walton, roll call.
Mr. St. Ange.
Here.
Mr. Burrow.
Here.
Mr. Wade.
Here.
Ms. Frederickson, absent. Mr. Rose, absent. Mr. Walton here. Ms. Smith.
Here.
5 members.
Adoption of agenda. Any additions or deletions?
No, there are not. No.
Communications.
Okay. Just a couple communications, very quick communications here regarding, again, just a reminder, the recording of meetings. So per community feedback, and starting with this work session, the Board of Education work sessions will be held here at the Almont Middle School Media Center. These sessions will begin at 6 p.m. We will live stream and record these meetings for the next 6 months on a trial basis. Each work session will be made available to the public for 60 days on our district's website. If the Board of Education deems that the recording of these work sessions proves to be successful, it will be my recommendation that the Board of Education adds this practice to their board operating procedures. Next, just a sinking fund. Again, I wanted to thank everyone who took the time and effort to vote on our sinking fund proposal. Unfortunately, the sinking fund was not approved by the majority of our Almont taxpayers. So as we move forward, we will remain thoughtful and diligent in making recommendations for maintenance and safety repairs around the district. Jason Frederick will provide a thorough update on our identified projects in just a few minutes here. In full transparency, I think it's important to communicate that I'll be exploring ways to take care of some of our failing or aging infrastructure around the district's facilities. As I've shared in previous board reports, I have connected with Verigy, which is one company of many that focuses on implementing and installing creative infrastructure improvement solutions. I had the opportunity to meet with Verigy a couple of times now, and I've authorized them to conduct a free assessment of the energy efficiency of our 3 buildings. I'm very hopeful that Verigy can do their assessment before the Christmas holiday break, and of course I'll keep you posted with any updates or next action steps.
This will answer our first questions and comments from the audience. This is for anything that is pertaining to the agenda. This is not a Q&A. Anything that needs to be addressed will be addressed by our superintendent. And there's a 3 minutes for your room. Anybody in the audience like to be addressed? Anyone? Okay. Nobody at this time. There will be another opportunity.
I'm going to turn it over to Jason Frederick.
A couple items before I dive into the sinking fund. Going back to the last work session when I discussed the current MAT contract that we have with Cintas, we were obligated to stay within that contract. Even if we get out of the contract, we would still be liable for the logo mats that we have. Mr. Rose had asked what that cost was. They have 10 mats that have a Raider logo at $180 a piece, so that's $1,800 we would have to pay up front to them. Just reminding everybody, currently we pay a little over $10,000 a year for mats. I would like to introduce us possibly purchasing mats and doing away with that contract. We have our custodial staff in the contract through Axiom that would allow for cleaning of the mats during the breaks or as needed. Pricing out some of those mats for us to purchase, of course there would be a one-time purchase, then after that that contract would be gone and that money would be back into our general fund. I had quoted $5,000 last time. It's actually closer to about $7,500, which $1,700 of that would go towards the kitchen and out of their funds. So that would leave the district at $5,800 for mats, and then along with the $1,800 for the logo mats. So that would put us at about $7,600 out of the general fund if we were to decide to move forward with that. We wouldn't necessarily have to purchase them all at once. I've been observing over the last couple of years what mats are really necessary. As we get deeper into winter, of course, as people track in, mats become more valuable and needed. So it wouldn't necessarily be an expense that we would have to do, like all the whole $7,500 now. We kind kind of space it up, maybe chunk it. So, but one thing that we would have to do is, especially for the kitchen, we'd have to make sure that we get their mats right away because they're special slip-resistant mats to deal with the water and whatnot for there. Another item is I am continuing to work to get a budget number for the track renovations. Still working on that. It kind of went idle for a bit as we were dealing with the sinking fund and whether it was passing and getting kind of a grasp on what direction we were going to go with projects. So I wanted to touch base on that before I hit my spreadsheet. So some of the projects that are still on here that are completed or will be completed within the next couple days, starting with the high school, the stadium bleacher repairs will be completed this week. The bleacher end curtains, that was completed on the 8th and 9th of November. The concession shingle and roof vent repairs, that was completed in early November as well as the 7 science lab faucets, that was also completed. Moving on to the middle school, of course, the safety sidewalk, that was completed to include, with the light being installed and the crosswalk painted and all that. I have observed it since it's opened. Get great participation from people in the morning dropping off students. I've actually stopped a couple students along the way and said, hey guys, how do you like it? And they liked it. Some of them were just like, we're just so glad we can cross up here now versus having to cross down there. So I think it is a success. And like I said, the people that are dropping off, they are observing it. So that's working out great. Of course, the interior bleacher repairs here at the middle school were completed. The end curtains were also completed here at the middle school. Moving on from last meeting down to Orchard Primary, we had fixed that spillway that was at the south end of the bus loop. We're finding that we're not getting the water collected. It's doing what it's doing. It's pushing it up into the lawn like it was engineered to do. We've got the drinking fountain shutoffs and supply lines that had to be rescheduled. There was a little bit of a mix-up with that when the one technician came out. So that's rescheduled for the 29th of November. As well as we did complete the plumbing repairs in the 2 classrooms. That was done on the 1st of November. The sidewalk, kind of an emergency repair that we had to do at that south end, which was the ADA entrance into the sidewalk. That was completed as well. One thing that has come up that wasn't on here before is we've had another piece of playground equipment that has broken on us and is in need of repair. It's the spiral slide. We're kind of in a pinch because the equipment that we use is little tykes. So we really can't switch it up and decide to go with another piece of equipment. We're kind of stuck with having to get that. And as you can see on that list, that costs us $8,700. I did look at just kind of a soft quote on what it would cost to replace that slide, and we were easily hitting 25 grand. So, I mean, we're not even halfway home to consider, what's in our best interest for putting new equipment. Plus, it is still allowed to do a playground equipment repair under the sinking fund. Moving on to the RFPs that were out. I want to touch base on the tree removal. While that was completed and we weren't necessarily we were going to have the stumps cut as flush to the ground as we could. We found with that one big gnarly basswood tree that even when they were cutting it down, that it had these pithy decay holes in the stump that it would have not been safe to have left it like that. So we are going to have to grind them stumps. They're coming back. It just wasn't part of when I initially scheduled them to have it done. But so it was kind of a change on the fly. So that will stay on there until next month as well. Moving on to some of the RFPs that we had out. Were you able to slide down, Mrs. Vaughn?
Yep.
Yep. There we go. So there's 2 RFPs that I'm waiting on, that I'm doing more investigation on. One of them is the interior doors and exterior doors at both the high school and the middle school. I need some clarification, as well as OP windows. I'm having some concerns about egress, whether we're grandfathered in, things like that based on the existing window size. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research on that, and then I'll report back. The RFP is good for 45 days, So, and it also states that I could do modifications as well. So that's something that, those two items that I'm revisiting and making sure that we dot our i's and cross our t's. For the exhaust fan replacement, as you can see there, we had a wide range, all the way from the top being 69,000 down to the bottom being a little over 26,000. Anytime that a contractor or vendor comes on site, they're interviewing with me. Whoever they send out, how they treat me, their conduct, how they act on district, all of these things go into play when it comes to making a decision. My recommendation here is to go with Thumb Cooling and Heating. Their price was $29,260 for the 14 exhaust fans. The ones that we picked out, high priorities being bathrooms, kitchen areas, things like that. I'm familiar with the work. They do good work. They do work in a lot of school settings. Matter of fact, they just got some of the bond work over at Dryden Schools. So that's my recommendation for the exhaust fans. Moving down to the fire panel, that came in below the initial $183,000. There was two bids. One was almost $162,000. The other one was $157,000. Right now, currently, we're grandfathered in with the panel that we had. As soon as we touch it, we have to bring it up to current code. That's the reason for the big price. So my recommendation is Shoreview Electric. One of the reasons for that is that they work hand in hand with National Time. National Time is the fire equipment that, or the panels that we currently have throughout the buildings, as well as National Time is our current monitoring service. So that would be my recommendation, to go that route. What we would be able to do is we wouldn't necessarily have to wait for breaks in order for this installation to occur. We could do it very similar to what we did with the Blue Point, in that we could start a second shift to where they'd come in and get some of the groundwork done before actually tying it up. And then for the gym floor, we got two bids. One was almost $30,000, and then one that came in that was just a little bit under $24,000. My recommendation is to go with Varsity Flooring, even if they were the higher amount, because Varsity Flooring has done quite a bit of work here in the district. They were actually the ones that did the gym floors the last time they were done at the high school, as well as I had them come in and do the stage on 21 and 22. So, you know, they do good work, but they conduct themselves very well when they're on site, especially for a school setting. So that is the 4 of the 6. And like I said, the other 2 I'm doing some more research on. I do want to take time to look at some of the savings that we've been able to incur working on this sinking fund. One of the biggest ones is you know, the cost that it would have been for our previous construction manager to do that sidewalk here at the middle school, to which we were able to save $38,000 by doing it in-house, as well as some of the broadcasted amounts for the exhaust fans, which was another savings of $30,000. The fire panel, about $21,000 from what was projected, going down to the gym floor. So as you can see there in the one tally line, that's a savings of about $96,000 of us being able to do some of this stuff in-house and actually having the actual costs to do these things. Now I'm gonna step out on a limb here when I'm gonna recite some sinking fund balances. So if they're not 100% accurate, please know that they're coming from me, not Ms. Kathy. So as of yesterday, our balance was $806,712. Of the bids received that I put out, that takes care of $215,037.12. The ongoing projects that I listed before we discussed the RFP, that takes up $44,281.02. So after the RFPs, and that's not counting the 2 that I haven't made decisions on, OP windows and the interior, exterior doors, as well as some of the hardware and lock changes, that leaves a balance of $547,393.86 for the sinking fund. And like I said, we're looking at potentially, you know, for the doors, I believe I had quoted $115,000 for the 2 schools, and then for the OP windows, I had said around $100,000. I am finding that both of those numbers that I put out are a little bit lower. Will probably be for the doors, looking at somewhere around 120 to 130. And then for the windows, it may be slightly higher at about, I don't know, 120, 130,000 as well. So that is what I've got. I'm sorry, one last thing. As we all know, I've been without a maintenance person. We've been short-staffed since May. Mrs. Vaughn and myself are working with Axiom, their leadership and ownership, to really just see what we can do as far as getting someone in, refreshing the advertisement, stuff like that. I've been getting some applicants. Unfortunately, I've been getting some no-call, no-shows, but we are getting some movement in terms of at least giving me some bodies to call. So we're kicking the tires on that the best we can.
Ms. Smith?
Mr. Fernand?
Jason, did the boiler, I know you were looking at a vendor that could find parts for the old boilers for high school, I believe. Is that done, or are those numbers factored into this?
No, we can still get parts for the boilers.
Okay.
For the Bryans that are both at the middle school as well as the high school.
Okay,
We can for right now still get parts.
okay. They're not on the list right now, so we're good running for right now? It's just a matter of when they go down?
Yeah, everything is running. We're ready for winter,
Okay,
best we can. So,
Okay.
but I think with the boilers, even though they have a lifespan, one of the concerns that we had brought up, similar to the fire panel, right, is, the fire panel, the reason we're having to change it is that it's obsolete. We can't get parts. So, while it might be a little bit more accessible to get parts for boilers, I mean, they are aging, so.
and then as far as the floor mats, do you have any projection on how many years you think we can get out of mats? Obviously savings just for 1 year is a couple grand, but, as it compounds.
I mean, that's tough to say. I mean, look at last year's winter. Could that constitute a winter? So, I mean, there's a lot of variables in that. So, I mean, here we are on a night that I'm being recorded where people can say, you said so. I would think that we should at least get 3-4 years out of mats.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we might find that at the different schools, traffic is different. I mean, like the recess mats at OP, they might wear down a little bit faster than, say, the other mats because they've got boots that are on all the time. So yeah, but I would think that we should be able to get a couple of years out of them, at least.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Wade?
Have we had Limbach give us a assessment of what they feel the boilers come in and say, okay, maybe you've got 5 years. You can still get parts, but we're looking at a end of potential. You've got to get it done at this point versus
I mean, so all I can tell you is what we've done and the facts of where we've been. 2 years ago, the state inspector had asked me if we could do an internal inspection, which I had the boilers completely tore apart, just gutted. And we did an internal inspection, and they did. They look good, right? I guess I can ask. I know that we've done some efficiency testing on them, which is part of our, CSD ones when they come in and do their work for the boilers every year. And yeah, we're still running in the 80%, so which is great for a boiler that's aged. It's like some of these things that we're finding that, is it best to knock them out a little bit at a time along the way, or wait for, holy cow, we've got all this to do at once. So
the reason I'm thinking is if we know, they say, and they're the experts on it, say, you got 6 years.
Right.
We can start now by saying, okay, we got 6 years to put aside or start that process.
And for whatever it's worth, if you go to the Bryan website, which is the manufacturer of the boiler, I believe that they say 30 years, for a lifespan, but it's like anything. It depends on its usage, how rough, how well it was maintained. I mean, we're doing better than the district has done in the past, and that, having the service contract that we have, twice a year we have a internal boiler water chemical treatment that is done and tested. That helps with the seals and stuff like that to keep it healthy on the inside. So, I mean, we could look at something like that to see, but there again, I think it would be very opinionated to try to put a lifespan on something that's already 35 years old. Sure that there's people in the audience that could say that they've seen boilers that are much, much older than ours. So yeah.
Mrs. Smith, my apologies, I don't know if you went over this. Did you ever get the quote for what the track is going to cost and the tennis courts? I know that you had mentioned that you were trying to get something.
I don't have, the only thing that I have for the tennis courts is what was projected by the two construction managers that we had under contract, Bart Mello and Ron Seller.
Was that the 600,000?
I would have to look at it and see.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So likewise, when it comes to the track, I have those two, right, Ron Selly and Bart Mallow, and then I also had contacted 4 individuals from this list, which was supplied by a board member, and got what I would call a soft quote. To include, I had one gentleman from Geo Midwest that came up from Ohio. We walked it. But it was just a soft quote. I have been told by a gentleman that he can come down and give us what would be considered a budgetary number, which I don't know how that would varies or differs from a soft quote. So that's, I'm gonna have him come down and see.
What was the soft quote?
Oh, they ranged anywhere from 750,000 down to, could potentially be 300,000. So, but what it all come down to, it hinged on the drainage. And that, you know, that was the big ticket if we had to address any drainage. You can drive by that track right now and see that now in the fall, all the moss is back. So, and it's a track that, I mean, if it was out back in the orchard where it was shadowed by, you know, trees most of the day, you could, but why has it got so much moss in it? I don't know. So it all kind of hinged on the drainage. That's what took a lot of them from 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 up to, it could potentially be, you know, 650, 663, I believe that was the price that our last contract, or construction manager gave, so.
Okay, thank you.
Besides these items that you already have RFPs out for and they're listed here, are there any other kind of big ticket items that you're eyeing for potential next steps?
Yes. You know, of course, I would like to continue to move forward with the rekeying of all 3 of the districts, as well as replacing some hardware. You know, I initially had given, I've got 2 prices. On this one here, I have a price of $65,000, and that was for all 3 schools. I did most recently find something today that was interesting, and I must have left it in the car. Where, that's not on this one either. So aside from that, I wanted to possibly look at addressing some concrete for summertime. So, and concrete would be something that we'd really have to stop and say, okay, what are we gonna do? How much money are we gonna spend? How much money do we want left in the sinking fund? So that it would be there for potentially another vote. I mean, because, you know, like I had said before, it's not that we would spend it just to spend it down. We could easily spend it, but I think we need to be smart about it and not put ourselves in a spot, because I could be wrong with this number, but even without attacking projects, I believe that the maintenance department would probably spend $130,000 of it just in routine stuff that qualifies. And that's not with me saying, ooh, I'd like to do this, or we should do that. It's like, wow, we gotta do that.
Is there a number that you're comfortable with holding on to, that you're like, you know, if this goes, if that goes, you know, we never know, but.
Right? I mean,
Contingent?
a couple $100,000? I mean, if I just said that potentially in a year's time I spend 130, I mean, that'd be something that we'd have to discuss as we get down the road and see. And really after this next step and doing the rekeying, sit down and say, okay, this is what's left. These are the projects, you know, like for example, that slide, just coming up out of nowhere being almost $9,000. You know, what are we gonna do? We're just gonna leave part of the playground, you know? I'm just saying that, just to talk, so.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jason, thank you so much for all your work. I know that I've monopolized some of your time, like throughout the week, meeting with you, but I really appreciate us meeting together and being on the same page as we move forward and with the RFP process and working with Axiom and trying to figure that out. Really trying to secure another person to join your maintenance team. So thank you for all your efforts and your time.
Sorry, I didn't say this earlier. Just as a reminder, the Finance Committee is Mr. Wade as chair, Ms. Fred, and myself. Jackie, you want to start?
I thought I'd just go through the total of the checks and all the accounts balances, and then any checks that you want pulled, I'll write those down and pull those for you. The total checks written for this month is $263,320.65. The year-to-date revenue balance year-to-date is $3,471,507.64. The expenditures year-to-date, $3,883,556.70. The internal accounts, the student activity accounts, OP has a balance of $28,874.65. Middle school has $36,830.79. High school has $329,106.75. And athletics has $99,375.43. So at this time, if you guys want to inquire about some checks, I brought them up in full.
One, Jason actually addressed one that I had
Okay.
for the ROGS for Cintas, and the other one I had was 45237.
45237. Rapid deployment.
It was, that's for the portable restroom.
Yes.
I just wasn't sure if that was, like for all the fall sports, like per quarter, or what that was.
Is from the athletic general fund requested by Debbie Lemon. And the description is for 2 individual standalone portable restrooms.
Tennis courts.
That's what I was here, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I had information.
Okay.
Mine was 45281.
That is to Demco Inc. for $543.95. It's ordered by Mary Love. Supplies for the high school media center. Includes ready covers, book covers, green board trimmer, tabletop displays.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have 45311.
That's to the Macomb Group for $3,148. Says OP boiler repairs. It was a,
New burners and 4 igniters.
thank you.
Is that outside Limbach's contract?
Yes, we no longer have that as part of the contract, so that's me utilizing our ability to purchase items without them up. Say.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, account balances. Anything on the accounts balances?
I thought everything was fine.
Yes, you guys are set with student activity? Okay. Okay, the lights contract update. The Almont Community Schools, in conjunction with the Lapeer ISD and the other local Lapeer County schools, has operated a fiber network since 1995. The fiber network has been used for educational and administrative technology purposes by the school districts in Lapeer County, the Lapeer ISD, and various other governmental and educational entities in Lapeer County. The ISD has served as the owner or operator and fiscal agent of the network, which over time has grown significantly in size, operating capacity, and purpose. The previous license agreement that was approved in July 2024 and went into effect September 9, 2024 has an addendum with apportioned costs. The memorandum of understanding is attached. After review of the memorandum of understanding showing the 2025 through 2029 apportioned costs, it is my recommendation that the district approves the MOU and moves forward along with the other districts in the ISD to continue with Almont's participation in the lights agreement.
I was fine with that.
Moving on to AEA contract update. I'm excited to share that we have reached a tentative agreement with the AEA, the Almont Education Association, on the collective bargaining agreement, and that we are working on finalizing the remaining details. I anticipate bringing the collective bargaining agreement to the Board of Education at its November 25th, 2024 regular meeting.
Fine here.
Moving on to personnel.
Personnel. The Board, oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Sure.
Mr. Burrow and Mr. Wilson with myself.
The Board of Education approves all personnel. A resignation has caused us to have to fill the position of varsity cheerleading coach. After a thorough interview process, Mr. Zimmerman has a recommendation. And this is for the varsity cheerleading coach. Teacher change in pay. In order to be eligible to advance from one lane on the salary schedule to a higher lane, a teacher must make written proof of the completion of courses and/or degree requirements in the form of an official transcript of credits from the institution from which the credits were earned. Master agreement between the Board of Education and the Almont Education Association. Gina Schwake is moving from BA to a BA plus 18.
Good.
Next is policy. Mr. Walton, Mr. Seaman, and Mr. Roday.
Board adopts bylaws and policies for organization and operation of the board and district. Bylaws and policies may be adopted and amended and repealed at any meeting of the board, provided the proposed adoption, amendment, or repeal shall have been proposed at previous board meetings, and once proposed shall have remained on the agenda of each succeeding board meeting until approved or rejected. Bylaw 0131.1. The district's policy service, Neola, has provided the following updated policies. This is the final read. So we have policy 2264, non-discrimination on the basis of sex and education programs or activities. It's a technical correction. Policy 3120.08, employment of personnel for co-curricular, extracurricular activities, revised. This is Public Act 37 makes it necessary to require any individual serving as a high school athletic coach to hold a valid certification in CPR and the use of an AED beginning with the 25-26 school year. This policy has been revised to reflect this forthcoming requirement. Policy 5330.02, opioid antagonists, revised. This policy has been revised to reference Narcan to make it easier to find in searches of this manual and miscellaneous grammar punctuation changes. Policy 5340, student accidents, revised. Public Act 36 makes it necessary to develop a cardiac response plan. This policy has been revised to reflect this requirement. Policy 5500, student conduct, revised. This policy has been revised to include provisions addressing use of academic honesty and optional provisions addressing use of artificial intelligence. Policy 7440.03, small unmanned aircraft systems, technical correction. This template has been updated to cross-reference the appropriate administrative guideline and miscellaneous corrections to grammar punctuation. Policy 7540.09, artificial intelligence. This is AI new. This policy has been added to address the use of artificial intelligence, AI, by district staff and students. We anticipate that this policy will evolve as this tool evolves. Policy 8321, criminal justice information security, non-criminal justice agency, revised. This policy has been revised to reflect the updated requirements of the Michigan State Police. And that has been discussed and recommended by committee 3-0.
Ms. Vaughn, just the one note that I sent you, so thank you for following up on the 3120
Okay, yes,
regarding the CPR training.
okay,
And I agree with you that that's an administrative guideline detail of how to go about that. I think it's good that it will be noted in there though, that the CPR is an expectation for high school.
and just on a, and on a further note, after speaking with Mr. Zimmerman, even today, actually, we followed up a little bit, just really encouraging the, like an in-person, model versus online, especially for our head coaches. So that will be the strong recommendation to go with one of our, credible organizations, if you will, for in-person. And we'll be sure to offer that at least a couple times per year. Yeah, you're welcome. So, it's your board meeting.
Yeah, right. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. This will bring us to the next questions and comments from the audience. If anything that needs to be followed up, it will be done so by our superintendent. This is not a Q&A time frame. There is a 3-minute period where you are able to speak. Anybody in the audience like to be recognized?
May I answer my questions? I don't know, do a few questions I have one answer.
All right, nobody. Questions and comments from the Board of Education? Okay. I will.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted to do a quick shout out. If you didn't have a chance to see the play Clue over this past weekend, it was phenomenal. And again, Amanda Myers knocking it out of the park. Unfortunately, I think she's a little under the weather right now, but I just really want to thank her and the crew and the parents tied to the program. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was another great production, so just a shout out, positive for this production.
I'll echo that. Mr. St. Ange, your son, is quite the actor. He did a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Phenomenal.
We're very proud of him.
Yeah, it was a great production. Any future agenda items?
Just one that I would like to, I'm following up with Mr. Markland, he's our technology director, just hoping to have a recommendation. I'd like to bring the information forward to the next work session regarding an app that maybe district-wide we might want to consider. So we're looking and we're eyeing a couple of them. It seems to be, definitely a priority for the district to kind of get on the same page with communication with our parents and especially with our extracurriculars or club sports. So I may be bringing something to you in December. That is the goal. So that will probably be an agenda item.
Good. Any other future agenda items? Mr. Walton?
I move the Board of Education adjourn the November 19th, 2024 work session at 6:39 p.m.
Support.
Motion